Hi, Jim. This is Bill from Wisconsin. My question is in regards to inherited IRAs. I'm not planning an inheritance in my financial plan, but I may get a small inheritance sometime in the future. This would be from a parent or grandparent. I am curious, do inherited IRAs affect Backdoor Roth IRA? And when does it make sense to roll these over versus not? And can you roll these over in the same way as you would other accounts? Thanks again for all that you do.
All right, so inherited IRAs. Do inherited IRAs screw up your Backdoor Roth IRA pro rata calculation? No, they really don't. That line, the pro rata calculation, comes from IRS Form 8606. And on line 6 of that form, it asks you what your balance was on December 31st in all of your traditional, SEP, and simple IRAs. Now, that would include a rollover IRA, but it would not include an inherited IRA. You don't have to put that amount on that line. So an inherited IRA does not screw up your Backdoor Roth IRA contribution. So can you roll over an inherited IRA? Well, not really in the sense that most people think about it. You can't roll it into your 401k or you can't roll it into your own IRA. You could move it from Fidelity to Vanguard if you wanted to or something like that. But you can't really combine it with yours except in a very special situation when your spouse is the one who died so that you inherited that. Then you have a time period in which you can combine the account with your spouse's. One of the cool things about inherited IRAs, though, is that you can stretch them. And what that means is you can take that special tax and asset protection that you get in an IRA and enjoy it. Now, you cannot do this indefinitely like you used to be able to do. You used to be able to do this till the day you died. But now you can only do it for 10 years. So if you inherit a Roth IRA, the very best thing you can do with it is not touch it for 10 years. Leave it for another 10 years, let it continue to compound tax-free, asset protected for 10 years, and then take the money out. Essentially, the inheritance, at a 7% or so rate of return, it'll double. You'll inherit twice as much money if you leave it there for a decade. So that's a great thing to do. If it's a traditional IRA, and it's a little one, you inherit $5 or $10 or $50,000, maybe you do the same thing. You just let it ride the whole 10 years, and then you take the money out in the 10th year. And of course, because it's a traditional IRA, it's tax deferred, you'll owe taxes on everything you take out of there. But if it's a big, huge traditional IRA that you inherited, maybe it's $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million, who knows, then you probably want to be a little more careful and not take the whole thing out in 1 year. That would be quite a tax bomb if you did that, because almost the whole thing, or probably the whole thing, if you're a physician, would be taxed in the highest tax bracket. So you might want to be a little bit more careful with that. If you have a larger IRA, maybe you want to leave it there for 5 or 6 or 7 years and then start taking it out and take out a certain amount each year so it doesn't necessarily get taxed at the highest tax bracket. You'll have to look at your tax situation. And certainly if there's 1 year when you went on sabbatical for the year and didn't earn anything, that'd be a great year to take a pretty big withdrawal out of an inherited traditional IRA. But that part of it's going to be different for everybody. Roth IRA, you can just wait the 10 years and take it out. A tiny little traditional IRA, you can wait 10 years and take it out. If it's a big traditional IRA, you probably ought to do some tax planning around it. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.